What's going on, people?
Hey!
Happy Tuesday, the 25th of January, 2022. How everybody doing this week, this year, this new millennium?
What?
Why I thought it was quirky. Lord, it hit me.
Come on for the scream.
Come on for the Cartoon Network plug. I see you. Do you work for Cartoon Network? Turner Broadcasting Network. You representing Atlanta. We appreciate you representing for us.
Let me change clothes real quick, y'all. I'll be back.
Don't be ahead of all your life.
No, not all my life, just this particular portion of it.
I can't stand you on this good day in Black people history.
Be that as it may, however, comma.
Whatever. How was y'all week? Let's check up. How was everybody's week?
It ain't over. It's long.
I mean, since the last time I saw you, since a week from today, since last Tuesday to this Tuesday, how you doing?
Y'all know I'm a workaholic. I work like crazy. I work a 9 to 5, and then I work the rest of the hours with them monsters in there.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, 2 of them may be monsters. One of them is my brother, and one of them is my doodle butt, because him a cutie boo.
2 and 2 makes 4, so it's 4 monsters.
DJ, how your week been?
It's going. Yeah, I'm just still in awe. Like, we about to go into February. Like,
Right.
this stuff is happening so fast.
It's my birthday month.
I mean, it's 2024 before you know it.
Yeah.
But my week is going all right. Yeah, just staying on top of it, staying busy, getting stuff done, making moves, the usual.
I hear you. Well, my week was amazing. Went to my sister restaurant, Four Hands Creole Kitchen, located in the Foundry. But my week has been good. This was my first week in my market. I was supposed to have a trainer with me. He left me. I was by myself. But I did good. Like, I found a lot of my team is real cool. They older people. They have the complexion for the protection, and so it was real interesting. 2 of my stores are Africa Americas, and those are the 2 stores that gave me the most problems. I just was like, this is odd. Everybody else was like, welcome, how can I help you? But then I went to the 2 stores I thought was gonna be down for me, and they were just like, so what you want? Like, what's your expectations? Like, what we gotta do for you? I was just like, hi, how you doing?
They just shot you got that title, and they where they at.
Shit. And then one of them kept calling out my full name. Every person here, this is Dr. Robert Crawford II. This is Dr. Robert Crawford. I said, why must you call out my full government name? He said, because you're the boss. You deserve that respect. I said, you could just call me Robert. Robert is okay. I was just like, and then y'all, yesterday at 7 o'clock, my power went out. It was 13 degrees last night. It was freezing cold, but I got my weighted blanket that I got for Crummel. I slept like a baby until I had to get up this morning and go pee. and my foot touched that damn bathroom floor, that coldness in that floor, it's like a bullet shot up in your gut. Let me tell you.
Welcome to the Midwest.
Call me a boy if you must. I was like, where's a water bottle that I can use?
Keep that up there.
Baby, it is cold. It is too cold for it's too
Yeah.
cool for school outside right now.
Welcome to the Midwest. We just finally warmed up in Chicago to what is it now? Oh, nope, sorry, I'm lying. We went from 6 to 12 back to 8
Well, we sitting
Degrees?
in a lovely
degrees. Yes. It was
Degrees?
6 degrees for the remainder of the day. Then it went up to 12 at like 2 o'clock. From 2 to like 5, it was 12. And now it's down to 8 degrees.
Who
And
controlling your thermostat?
that's not including the wind chill factor. That's just the actual weather.
Somebody need they tell whoever controlling that thermostat.
baby, some of them piss Elsa off.
She mad as hell.
She is
Listen,
mad.
we used to it. This is what it is. January and February are the worst parts of the winter. That don't mean I ain't saying it ain't cold, because it's cold. It's cold, y'all. Like, it's colder than penguin privates chilling on a block of dry ice. It's cold. Okay,
That's cold. Because I think I just
that is cold. Mm-hmm. That's
yeah.
I
But
just
to
think about
everybody
happy
enjoying,
feet.
I mean, we're 21, but it's supposed to drop down to 11. So when I tell you, I'm so with my new schedule, I don't have to be out the bed until like 8. So when I go out, the sun is out, so it's a little bit warmer. And I got auto start on the car, so that helps a lot a bit. But it'd be cold.
I'll stop. We drop it down to -5.
I'm finna start, baby. If let it drop to negative anything.
We're gonna be -5 until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I'm finna be Instacarting, Uber Eats.
Oh, that ain't nothing, baby. We had that. What was that like that a couple years ago? We had some Arctic something or whatever they called it, where it snowed and it was literally like below 25. It was -25 to -35 degrees for a week straight, and so that's the only time we have ever closed. It was too cold to be outside. Like, literally, you could not go outside.
Well, you
I'll
know,
keep my pictures that
Polar vortex. That's what it was.
you know, grandmama say we living in our land. Well, Terry, might want to check the weather, because they said the tornado alley has shifted south now. So y'all sitting in tornado alley now. I can deal with the cold and tornado. I don't want to wake up in Kansas. We ain't in Kansas no more.
You hear me? That's why I live in Chicago. I can do a blizzard and some snow, but all that other stuff, no, I can't get with that.
They say we get them in St. Louis. I ain't heard. I ain't heard it yet. I ain't heard none over her, but I heard they be over there and down
Over where?
over her there. Baby,
Over there?
I haven't got to know these ers and ders yet, but everybody keeps saying, you don't sound like you're from Georgia. Like, where's that southern accent? I was like, you want me to talk like this? This is what you expect. We got 6 down there. We educated. We ain't Tennessee. I'm sorry. That was rude. I mean,
yeah.
Oh.
Right.
Hey guys, if you're watching the show, please follow us. I love Rakia. I love her. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. Like, share. Support us on Patreon. That's it, right?
Got it right.
Woo! Look at me. Support us on Patreon. Like, get the new. We're on Twitch as well. You know who I miss? Billy
Berserker.
We haven't heard from Billy in months. Can we send out a health and wellness check on Billy? Tell somebody good on Twitch and tell Billy we miss Billy.
We need to tell our digital grandparents what's up too. We haven't
shouted
them out or spoke from them in a while either. So we need to make sure they are right and well. So special shout out to them.
Grandma and granddaddy, if y'all watching, y'all finna get in trouble. We ain't got no Christmas gifts. We ain't had no New Year's gifts. Like, y'all slacking, bruh.
Well, maybe all the sex talk done got them a little fire under them a little bit that we've been.
They got the snow on the roof and the fire below.
That's what they've been wanting.
That's what they want.
Hey, that's nasty. Y'all nasty. And everyone's supposed to wait. When I get old, it ain't gonna be nasty because I'm not old. Everything older than me is nasty.
Wow.
Don't be
okay.
Can y'all picture y'all grandparents doing the nasty?
Nope. Next topic.
She didn't say topic. She said next topic. So y'all, ugh,
Nope. Keep going.
ugh. Well, virtual grandparents, send us a message. Check in. We haven't heard from y'all this season. We low key miss y'all. Y'all was nice people. Nice, nice. Y'all was the salt of the earth. Nice people.
Oh
All right, y'all. Well, we finna get ready for our next topic. Say what?
Say what?
Hey guys, it's your girl Chave with Say What today. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I'm sad that I'm not there. But I got like two parts Say What. First part is, I'm pregnant, so we're having a boy, right? I'm excited. It's what I wanted. So I'm super excited. Just wanted to let y'all know about that. And then secondly, I want to talk to y'all about this whole Pastor Mike Todd situation. It's been all over social media. Apparently, during a service a couple of Sundays ago, Pastor Mike Todd brought someone up for a demonstration, which I love illustrated sermons. But this time, he was actually referring to in the Bible where Jesus spit and basically put the spit over a blind man's eyes, and he was able to see. So instead of just telling the story, he decided that it was cool to spit in his hand. And when I tell you, like, he went to the back of his throat to get the spit, you could hear it, and you could hear the disgust in the audience's voice and their oohs and ahs. It was crazy. So he spits in his hand, and there's this man standing next to him, and he's like rubbing it in his hand, getting it ready. And then he literally, like, basically rubs it all over his face. Okay. The man stands there, no reaction. And he's just rubbing spit during a pandemic on this man's face. Okay. So I want to know what y'all think about it. Because on top of that, a few days later, he apologizes and he explains that he likes to make the Bible come alive, which I think is dope. And it's actually one of the reasons why he's one of my faves anyway. But did he take it too far? Like, what do what do y'all think? What would you have done if it were you being spit on? I'm just curious as to what y'all think about that. I could tell you, for one, if it were me, I don't even know if I could do it for a check. I was about to say he'd have to write me a check. I don't think I could do it. Corona is real, okay? Like, that's too much. I feel like it got too real, which is exactly what he said when he apologized. And people are still like, I don't know if I can accept the apology. He's like, I love to make the Bible come alive, and I want to apologize because it just got too real, and I probably took it too far. Probably. I don't know. That's my opinion. What do y'all think?
Okay. Okay. I see you, Ricky Z, for all this new wave
New stuff.
engagement. Okay. Y'all want me to go first, or y'all want me to go last?
Yes, system and processes.
First, congratulations on the baby boy. His name is Legacy.
Yes, a boy.
Okay.
And he gonna have a big old head. She gonna beat me up. She gonna beat me up.
So who's gonna go first?
System and processes.
Okay.
So my first response is not going to be a system and processes response. My first response is going to be, I get the outcry and the outpour, but some of y'all get worse stuff put on y'all faces and other parts of y'all body every day before a pandemic, during a pandemic, and after a pandemic is over. So the fact that it is saliva, is a whole different kind of connotation. Now, let's look at it through the biblical, not biblical, I'm sorry, but let's look at it through a biological standpoint, right? No, nope, nope, nope. I'm not I'm not stopping. I'm leading in and I'm moving the train along. Unless you're gonna say something, we're gonna keep
Flag
this
on the
train
play.
moving.
Flag on the play. How you gonna call the people out like that?
Because let's call a spade a spade. We have seen all kinds of other things occur and worse things people enjoy getting put on their faces and other parts of their body. Far worse things. Now, yes, I understand that we're in the midst of a global pandemic. I understand, the risk of transmission for COVID and any other type of viral bacterial infections are through droplet precautions, i.e., it can be found in your saliva, your spit, all of those things, kind of cough in the air, aerates, etc. But really, like, I get it, but really, they and them same people not all of them, but some of those same people probably went home if they weren't already home, and again had worse than that put on their faces. But everybody wants something to say, and I think that's really what bothers me most about everything that's going on, especially in this era, is that everybody wants clout, everybody wants something to say, everybody wants a platform to have something to say, and it's like, of course, yes, you crossed the line. I agree. Yes, that's crossing the line. Because had it been me, I'd have forgot we was in church. You probably would got socked in your face. But enough is enough. Like, mind your business. Stay in your lane. That's all I got for that.
Jesus loves me, this I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Terry. Go ahead, Terry.
But you know what? DJ is absolutely correct. So when I heard about this, I kept seeing it across social media. I did not know who it was because I hadn't seen the video. I watched the video today and I couldn't even get through it. I love Pastor Mike Todd. I love watching his service because of how detailed he is. However, I would have forgot just like that I was in church. Spitting to me is an ultimate disrespect. Like, don't. If you talking and a piece of spit fly on them, be looking at you like, I'm gonna ask my question in a minute, but yeah, I think that was just a tad bit too far. He could have got maybe a crash dummy or something to use versus a whole human, and that man was okay with it.
So, I'm going to say, wow, to DJ. Just wow. I was not expecting that. Let's just start there. I was expecting him to say something, I don't know. I was expecting something, I don't know, like something.
What is this?
Something
No clue, right?
Galileo
You
or
think when
something.
you
You
thought
don't
you
know
had it figured out, you got no clue.
Baby, there you go. I mean, but I agree with y'all. Like, so I love bringing the Bible alive. I love to give you demonstrations. For me, a demonstration could have been, Jesus spat in his hand. I will pour water in my hand, and to represent the saliva. And like my first response was maybe the guy was in on it and he was okay with it. But then I started to think about it because I've been in churches where I had to use the mic behind someone who spit a lot. And I was like, can I get another mic? Because I'm a germaphobe and I don't know where your mouth was last night, sir. And I understand you're a pastor. And let's be real. If you're in ministry, those are the biggest freaks. Just putting it out there. All right. So I don't know. Wow. I just implemented myself. Well, dang. But I don't know where your mouth was last night, sir. And you may have said I used mouthwash this morning. That still does not negate the fact it kills 99.9% of germs. That 0.9 could still be in your mouth. I'm
That
with
what?
you. I've almost lost my temperature in church before I was ready to swing and fight. I would have just blacked out. I would have had a whole moment.
So do you guys go ahead?
Now I was just gonna read the comment that says some are saying that the pastor was the one wanting clout. Do you think he really didn't know people would talk after he did that?
I'm sure he knew. I'm sure
he probably did it for a publicity stunt because he knew people was going to be in an uproar, especially during a pandemic.
Well, I don't think he did it because he knew that people was going to be in an uproar because he has the audience. He has all of that without him doing what he just did. So he didn't need to do the extra to have the people to watch. I think he did it again just because of the demonstration, and he's already extra anyways. That's just who he is. But do you guys feel like the guy that he allowed him to do that was in on it? Do you think he was paid for it?
I don't think he was paid. I think he was in on it, but he wasn't paid.
My opinion, I feel like he got some money out of that.
And my opinion is, oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
I was going to say he's probably getting money out of it now.
And what I was going to say is, people would do stuff so that they can be on platforms, and that's what I was getting at, right? In my earlier comment, people will allow stuff to happen so that they can be on public platforms. Like you knew that that service is streamed, you know that that man has a following, you know all of these things. So whether you knew that that's what was going to occur or not, you wanted to be a part of that process.
Absolutely, Shabay. That was his brother. So it wasn't like he
Well, there you go. That's we already answered that
see
question.
they had this
I,
conversation prior.
I love my brothers. I love my sisters. I used to hate my. I don't know if y'all had this grandma when you had ash or something on your face. They'll lick their thumb.
Yep.
I wasn't. I'm like, I gotta go wash my face. So no, I don't care
Yeah.
who you. Unless your name is Jesus Christ and you manifest and because then you gonna give me peace of what you're doing. Because if I did not know it was Jesus, I might swing on Jesus. I'm just gonna be real.
Do you guys think that he's gonna lose some of his audience because of that?
Absolutely not.
I was gonna say nope. If anything, it's gonna get bigger because people want to see what he's gonna do next.
And to my point, everybody is making him relevant. So some people are just gonna tune in just to that point. They want to see what else you're gonna do. They want to see what else you about, and they're gonna tune in just because they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, that's the man that put the spit on the man's face. Let me see what he's doing."
And I think he's going to get a bigger audience because not very often that you find a pastor that will publicly apologize in the manner that he did.
I would just say not rarely you find a pastor that will apologize. Period.
That too. So yeah, he just grew his.
I would say it's kind of like my boy Lil Nas. You know, bad publicity is good publicity because everybody hate on you, but they finna follow you. They finna watch you to see what you're gonna do next. So I think he just elevated himself to the next level.
I know I read a comment that said he did this in the midst of COVID. So do you guys think that it was bad timing? Had he done it not in the midst of a pandemic, would it have been okay?
No, absolutely not. And that's me personally because of how I feel about someone else's saliva on my body.
I'm gonna say had he did it out pre-COVID, it would have been effective. It would still got some slack, but it wouldn't have been as much slack. Because pre-COVID, we didn't have a lot. People would be like, "Oh, that's nasty." That's all they was gonna get. That's nasty. There would be no COVID or no disease spread behind it. But because we are in COVID and post-COVID, I think it will be what it is now.
Yeah, I couldn't even watch the whole video. I stopped watching it.
I can tell you this much: I got bail money on deck. Spit in my face if you want to. I got into a altercation when I was in undergrad because a boy said something to me and he was like, "You ain't never a nigga," and spit in my face. When I came back to my senses, I know I had 4 people holding me down talking about some "don't kill him." That's all I remember. I don't remember what happened in the interim. I just remember something hit my face and then I was on the ground and people saying "don't kill him." That's all I heard. Don't spit. A spit is the ultimate disrespect. That's like hanging up in my face.
Yeah, that's number one. That's definitely number one.
Oh, my nerves bad now. I just think about the
That's
spit dish.
GW Joshua said, "I don't think it would have been as bad if it weren't in a pandemic." And exactly, so that's why I asked that question. I don't think
I don't think it's about the COVID at all. I think people are using that as a crutch to justify their opinions. I think if we real with being very transparent and being very honest, there are more people that just feel like that same thing. That putting spit in my face, whether intentional or unintentional, is disgusting and disrespectful. And I think if people just told the truth about that, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But stop using COVID as a crutch. We do understand, like I said in my initial comments, we understand the risk of transmission because of that, right? Because of what we know. But that's not why y'all appalled. Y'all appalled because he put spit in the man's face. You're using COVID to justify why you're appalled. Instead of just honestly saying that it disgusts you or you couldn't watch it or it whatever.
Yeah, that was the. Y'all would have to bail me out.
I wasn't gonna get bailed out. They gonna be like, "You killed that man, TKO."
I'm a first time offender, so I would have got a bail. I would have got a bond.
What the song say? Try Jesus.
Bond out.
What the song say? Try Jesus, not me, because I fight back. I throw hands. I'm from the south side of the kingdom. That's disgusting.
GW Joshua said, well, Jesus put spit to dirt to make clay over the blind man's eyes so that he could see. And that was part of his demonstration. That's what he was saying as he was, doing it. But
you didn't mix your spit with no clay. You mixed your spit with your skin.
I mean, he rubbed it in like lotion. He was like,
"Yo, bro, that's some serious brotherly." And then, what if your brother got to go kiss his wife? You don't have your brother spit. So, I don't want to get vulgar. So, I was always told, when you kiss somebody, you've kissed every person they've kissed, and you've had in your mouth everything they had in their mouth. So when you spit, whatever your brother did last night with his wife, his man, his cousins, uncles, whatever he did, you just did all that too. That's nasty. That's why I don't drink behind folks, because I don't know where your mouth been. That's disgusting. Like I said, before COVID, disgusting. During COVID, disgusting. After COVID, disgusting. And if that's your fetish, if you're into that, if you like people to spit in your face, I support you 100%. However, comma, space, that ain't for me. Maybe his brother liked to spit in his face, so he was into that. Maybe that turned him on.
All right. So,
how Chavez gonna start some mess like that and not be on the show so we tell her about herself?
She in the comments.
She is in the comments. I was reading some of her responses to keep the conversation flowing.
She's in the comments.
That's disgusting. But we're gonna get to our main topic, which I hope ain't about spitting in people's faces and disgusting. Negative. Right after this commercial break, we'll be right back, people. Shout out to somebody's phone going off. Put your phone on do not disturb, silence, please. Shout out to our production company, Ricky Z Media. Shout out to Ricky Z. If you have a show podcast that you want to put out there, if you have an idea, contact Ricky Z. Send us an email at noclueleshow@gmail.com and she'll get right with y'all. Who has main topic today? Let's go, Terry. What you got for us?
All righty. So this week, I was just let me not be a news anchor. So the topic this week is something that is kind of pisses me off sometimes, but confuses me at the same time. So we're gonna talk about some labels. So my question to y'all is, what label do you identify as and why?
That's the whole question? Like that's the whole time, just that question.
Mm-hmm. Right now. Okay. What's your label and why?
Singular.
Your label is singular?
I was asking a question. I was asking a question. Singular label or labels?
Labels. Whatever you go, whatever you will answer to, identify, what are they? Or what is it? Oh, yeah.
I thought DJ was saying he identifies singular.
Right, I
was like, you're singular wireless? You're a wireless?
Oh, we showing our age if you remember singular wireless, bro.
Wow.
I mean, facts. Let's call a spade spade. We done seen that thing transition a couple of times, but anyway.
So DJ, what are your label or
my identifiers are African American, same gender loving, divorcee, currently single, but dating, son, lover, friend.
Okay.
I think that's a good place to start.
Okay. Robert?
My labels are human, period.
No. I like that.
And the reason I say that is because everything I identify as relates to my humanity. I'm a man of God. I'm a pastor. I'm a doctor. I'm a brother. I'm a son. I'm an author. I'm an actor, motivational coach. I'm a friend. I'm a fiance. Fiance. Yeah, fiance. That's what you call them. I'm a lot of things, but at the end of the day, I'm human.
Okay. So I have a lot of labels too, but outside of your professional, so let's step outside of the professional hat.
Okay.
And if you were, you play too much. And if you were around a bunch of other like-minded people, what would be your label? Was that a trick question?
No, I'm trying to figure out how to answer that because some stuff would not be appropriate for this pet, and we didn't got dinged enough times this season, so that's one end. But most of those things would probably be something like brother or friend. Like it wouldn't be. I mean, most of the stuff would be stuff I can't talk about, but outside of that, it's gonna be one of those two because those are the only people that I'm really around in close knit settings or close knit environments.
Okay.
So, because I gotta say my stuff carefully because my pastor's husband be watching, and I can't get in trouble at church because our church, we get in trouble for real. And then DJ's son watching, and he'll snitch.
Don't come for my child.
He'll snitch. He'll like, Pops, look what he said. So if I was in a comfortable, safe space, some PG terms that I would identify as would be dumb, daddy, friend, brother. Yeah, moving on.
Okay. Oh.
Because you said we're not professional. So,
right. I wanted you to step out of your professional hat. And what titles? Good. Yeah. I like that.
What about you? Oh, what's your titles? We want to know your titles.
See, I'm just like you. So people ask me all the time, or what's my label, or what do I identify as? I don't have a label. So with my current marriage that I'm in, people would say that I am more so on the heterosexual side of things, the heterosexual spectrum, because of how my marriage works. Mm-hmm. That, so they would look at me as that. But then on another spectrum, I've been called bisexual, I've been called lesbian, I've been called a submissive person. So it's just, I'm across the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. You're human.
So yeah, people in the comments chime in on y'all's labels. How do y'all feel about labels? All right, so how important is labels? And if they're not important, why do we make them important?
Because exactly what I said earlier when I said identifiers. We have a bad case as being physical beings on this space of wanting to classify something as this or that. And that's the only way that we do that. And we want it to fit into this box. And if it doesn't fit nicely prepackaged into the box, we have a problem with that. And so that's why this whole construct, because that's what we're talking about, right? Social constructs of labels or identifiers or markers come into play, because that's our way of not only making something make sense to us in our feeble thinking, because we're too scared to think outside of what we know, but it's also our way of practicing manipulation, domination, and control, which ultimately leads to what? Oppression in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
For the record, DJ can never go before me again. I'm just going to put that out there. From now on, I go first and then DJ goes. Because coming behind that, that's like me trying to sing behind Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston. People going to be like, have service.
You can. You just got to put up their holograms.
And True.
What I was gonna say is it goes back. I think it all stems from the foundation of the Bible, where the Bible says you either hot or cold. You can't be lukewarm. So it gives you that either or. And so, but as to what DJ was saying, mankind says you have to be A or B. There's no C or in between. It goes to the you're a male or female. There's no in between. You can't be transgender or gender non-binary. Is that correct, DJ?
Gender non-conforming, non-binary is another variation of
See,
that, but
it's all
yeah.
the variations and everything. The common mind says you can't have those because I can't put you in my box. Lauren Hill wrote a song said I get out of all your boxes. And so I think that's why we have those labels, is so that I can constrain you and I know where to place you. Where I want to place you, not where you want to be placed, but I know where to place you.
So that takes me into this. So what I found is, and you make a very valid point that a lot of us go with these identifiers because we are allowing people to put us in these boxes instead of we're recognizing who we are as ourselves. So why do you think that that's okay? Why do we allow people to put labels on us?
Because the book I'm writing, Disappointed Part 2, talks about this. Y'all give me all these plugs. I'm loving it. We talk about this in the book because we're conditioned as a child. As a child, you have adults telling you what you can and can't do, what you can and can't be, where you will and will not go. And some of those adults are pouring positivity into you. Some of those are pouring negativity into you. I'll use myself as an example. Growing up as a child, I was told because my mother did drugs and my daddy was a high school dropout that I couldn't go to school, that I would never go to college, that I couldn't be anything because my parents wasn't anything. You see what I'm saying? I had negative people speaking that over me, and I'll be honest with you, until sixth grade, I believed that. When I was in sixth grade, language arts in school, I had Miss Latanya Brown as my teacher, now Dr. Latanya Brown. She came to me and said, "You will not be a victim of your circumstance." And because she saw positivity, she poured positive things into me. My trajectory in life changed because she was telling me everything they told you, we're going to go against it. And she put actions to her words. So many of you know I was a United States Youth Ambassador. My mother had to sign for me to get my passport. Miss Brown went to the crack house, found my mother, and made my mama go to the post office and sign those papers. That showed me that somebody believed in me, that I can change my circumstance. But we have people talking over us as a child, and so we conditioned into that if this person say this is what I have to be, then you kind of get that mindset as a child, and you don't break that mind, you don't break that mold unless somebody gives you the power to break it. I hope that made sense.
DJ?
So he took a piece of my argument, so I won't use that part. But I'll use the latter part of my argument that we don't let people do that. And we have historical context and historical records of where we have not allowed people to place labels or identifiers or boxes on us. And even now, in various communities and different priority populations, we see that it is a fight to not put a label on us, to not place us in boxes, to not minimize or mitigate our humanity and our human experience and our human lived experiences. We don't allow people to do that. What happens is, even from the earliest ways of what we're doing through basic conditioning, just like Doc was saying, people try to instill in these. It's like programming, right? It's just like a computer. If you put stuff in there for so long, you start to do it. You put it in there for so long, eventually it's gonna run on autopilot, right? Because now it has the code, it has the genome, it's told its dynamics, and the binary code has communicated to the soundboards and whatever else. I'm not technologically savvy, but you get the idea. It's all gonna make it work in accordance because of what you've already pre-programmed this device to do. It's the very same nature. And it's not until you understand and identify the truth of who you are that you start to question those things. Or you come into a group, or you're privileged or fortunate enough to be raised in a group or a dynamic that tells you from the start you are more than your circumstances, in which case you never accept the labels or the construct that's placed on you from the beginning.
It's kind of like the
So,
Matrix. You seen the movie The Matrix? How everything is numbers and systems, And then you have that one glitch in the system that makes you realize I'm not a part of this system. I don't have to be what they programmed me to be. And I think that's what it boils down to.
Well, but even if you use that same analogy, it wasn't about I don't have to be what they programmed me to be. What it really was I'm not who you're trying to condition me to be. So that those things are totally different. The I am and what you want me to be don't coexist. They don't equate. Right. And that ultimately is where you get the disconnect, right? That cognitive dissonance. When you telling me one thing, but my inner being is telling me something totally different, they don't connect.
But we have those that. Do you think we have those that just settle with those labels that are put on us, or identifiers that's put on us? We have those that just settle.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. We have yes, all the time. People settle because they don't want to buck the system, or they don't fit because they've been beaten down to the point where you're a great leader, you have great ideas, you have great programs, you have great systems, you have great policies and procedures to put in place, but because every step forward you take they beat you back 5 6 steps, you just say I give up and I conform. And honestly, one woman who I admire so much, Stacey Abrams, because every step she took forward, they tried to kick her back hundreds of steps. And she was like, you can back me up, but I'm going to keep coming. And when she just told her story as to why she is so dead set on taking the governor's race, I completely understand. When you are told you don't belong here, your kind don't belong here, that's where you need to make your presence known, in my personal opinion. But people get sick and tired of fighting a fight that they feel that they won't win. But you have to surround yourself with people who support you, truly support you, and it's going to build you up. DJ, debunk my theory.
I'm trying to. I am thinking because I mean I agree to a certain standard, right? That there absolutely are generations of people, especially black people, that dealt with what it was because they didn't want to shake the system to some way, shape, form, or fashion, right? And we talked about that a little bit when I brought up the whole thing about respectability politics. And those same things are still being conditioned and treated into the lives of our children, even in this era, in this century. But that's on the one hand. On the other hand, I don't know if it's necessarily environmental or is it just because it's natural to some extent, right? And when we say that, and I know it sounds crazy, but when we talk about people being products of their environments, that's more than just the external environment. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to look at the biological environment, you have to look at the psychological environment, and you have to look at ultimately, is there a level of love? Is there a level of light that will cause them to see something different inside of themselves? If they don't know anything other than what it is, or if they haven't had any hope other than what has been told to them, then no, why would I feel like something is off or something is wrong? Because this is the truth and this is my truth. And it goes back to what I always say about perception being reality. If I perceive it to be so, then it is.
I agree with you, and that's what I meant by she said you're not won't be victim of your circumstance. Is because when I say people's environment, I do mean more. Lord, I thought Siri
You all
said.
right? I
I
thought you
thought
went
she
that's why
said.
I'm like, oh my
Oh,
God, are you okay?
I'm
I was
plugging
gonna
up.
laugh so hard, but I was gonna make sure she was okay first. Um, but some people, like I have some people who I know who were raised in the projects, right? They've gone on to get great jobs. When I say great jobs, they are upper level in some real serious companies, but they still stay in the hood. And they say, well, this because this is where I grew up. This is what I know. So why would I leave? I don't want to be one of those people turn my back on where I come from. And for me, you're not turning your back on where you come from if you leave the projects, because what you're doing is showing someone else who looks up to you, because I'm one of those people who believe that someone out there is looking up to you. Somebody is looking at you as a role model. You may not know it, but somebody looks to you. And so if you show that person that you can get out, that you got out, then they feel like, well, if they got out, I can get out. But then you have those people in situations where people is like, well, you don't leave where you come from because this is what you know. So that's a double-edged sword. Because some people like me wanted to get out because I was like, I wanted better because I was shown better, right? And I was like, I want that, I want this. But then I do have people who's like, well, no, you can't have that because that ain't for you. That's not for us. That's for them. Like when I was younger, one of the things I wanted to be was president, and I literally was told by adults, it's called the White House for a reason. We're not meant to be there. We're just made to clean there. And so I was like, well, maybe you're right. Maybe I can't be president. Until, again, I met one person who was like, get that out of your head.
See, then that's just like, me growing up. People always told me that I was going to be just like my circumstances. I was going to be just like my mom, and that was going to be me. I was going to be her. I already look like her, so I was going to be in the same boat, same situation that she was, and stuff like that. So, we have to develop our own mindset and know that we are not our circumstances. We can change those things. We don't have to allow those people to put those labels or those titles on us because of what they saw somebody else go through, and think that I'm just gonna, be like a sponge and just soak up what I come out of. No, that's not gonna happen. DJ, your will is like
it is, because I mean, I think you are correct, and I think y'all both are correct, and I think that's the one thing that we all agree on, is that you don't have to be a product of your circumstances, and so there is some level of autonomy, and there is some level of authority over changing that or denouncing the label to be something else, right? I totally agree with us on that point. I think where I'm having a little issue is, back to my point about, we look at things through a lens that is a little bit different, right? And I'll use I statements. I look at things through a lens that's a little bit different. Um, my background and my upbringing was not rough. It was not tough. It was none of those things. I grew up in suburbia. We didn't move up into the city until I went to high school. I went to one of the best high schools in the city. So like I didn't have all of those kind of traditional, urban black male experiences that you would anticipate or that you would expect for somebody to have, right? So, but I did have friends who went through those things, and still have friends who have went through those things and overcome those experiences. But I say all of that to say, in looking at those dynamics in those circumstances, I had people in both of those aspects that did the exact same thing on both ends. There were people that both fell victim to the opposite circumstance, right? So those people who were from more harsh environments or more harsh backgrounds or had a harder upbringing that chose to do better, made better choices, and they, went on to live great and still live great and productive lives. And then I had people from the environment that I came from that chose to go the other way around, and now they live destructive paths. And so, saying all of that to say, again, about autonomy and authority, like, yes, we're talking about how this one thing that somebody tells you is who you are defines your role or your destiny. No, it really doesn't, because what about those kids that I grew up with in suburbia that came from six-figure family households that now are, if you see them because of their life of using drugs or some other things, you would even recognize them. You wouldn't recognize that that was that same kid, but their labels told them something different. Their labels told them that they had infinite possibilities, and that wasn't what happened.
So we dug real deep. So let's come back to the surface a little bit. So what about those? And even it doesn't even have to be from a childhood. It could be even targeting our kids right now. Let's just use this for an example. So what about those little boys or little girls, the little boys that want to play with kitchen sets or dolls? And I always told them, got people telling them, oh, well, you're going to be gay when you grow up. Or those little girls that wanted to play football and not cheer and not do, they were told they were going to be tomboys and those types of labels when they grow up. What about those? What?
So that was a label placed on me. So I was raised in a household, semi-raised. I can't say that because my grandmother was not a man. My father was raised by his grandfather, right? And his grandfather was old school. When I say old school, old school. So if it was not contact football, it was gay. So when I wanted to be in band, it was gay. Run track, gay. Debate team, gay. Culinary arts, gay. If it was not contact football, it was gay. And so I grew up not wanting to do anything. I grew up, if you cry, gay. Men don't show emotions. So those labels was placed on me, and I believed them for a while until my grandmother would hit me until I cried. Just to prove a point, men cry. If you're hurt, you cry because that's what you do because you're human. So I hate that. If I have a child, if my son say, "Dad, I want to be a ballerina," let's go get you some shoes called. Just know your feet gonna look like this, and I'm gonna talk about your feet.
Those are point shoes.
Yeah, point shoes. Your feet gonna be crunchy, but I support it. I was having a conversation with someone else, and they was like, "Well, what if your son tells you that, Dad, I think I'm a girl, baby? Wear all the dresses you want, and if somebody say something to you, tell them my daddy finna whoop your behind."
So wait a minute. Don't have her
Good
pop up
save.
on
I'm
the
just,
Good
screen.
save. Good save.
but I'm like, I'm one of those people. I want to give my child the freedom that I didn't have. There are some limitations to that freedom, but for the most part, have that freedom. Like, express yourself, and I love it. Like, I watched Brandy and Brittany. They're raising two beautiful kids. One of them starting to like me. She let me hold her yesterday for about 30 seconds. And she was like, "Whoa, stranger!" And with the scream. But I love the way they let their children express themselves because they're kids. Too many times parents want kids to be adults. If you have a 1 year old, their room is supposed to be a mess. If you say clean up your room, they're supposed to put everything under the bed because they're kids. They don't know how to organize like we do. And I think when we start putting those labels on them as a child that, oh, you must do this at 2 years old, you need to know how to mop, iron, sweep, do laundry, take out the trash. That's too much. Let the child be a child. And then when it's time to get a label, let them choose their own labels. If my baby say, "Daddy, I think I'm a chicken," well, cluck cluck, you a chicken. But I'm gonna say now. Of course, I'm gonna coach my children. No, son, this is what a chicken is. This is what a human is. You see what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna be like, "No, that's stupid. Why would you even eat?" No, no, no. DJ.
So to go back to the original point,
I
I
don't like
I
people.
think
Maybe I
I
don't like.
think I think that there is a spirit of creativity that is associated with those kids that don't identify in what we consider to be traditional gender norms or traditional gender roles. And I'm saying that to say, especially for kids, when they pique an interest to something, they usually will follow through with that thing for a little bit of time. And so you have now just stifled your next Gordon Ramsay because he was a boy and you didn't feel that it was worthy for him to do that. Or, your next Cheryl Swoops. I don't know. Is that basketball? I think she played basketball in WNBA. I think it's basketball. But anyway, to the point being, you don't know the potential of that child from what that level of interest could have taken them to that place to do. And to stifle them because of your own preconceived notions of what gender is or is not and what that looks like is completely selfish, number one. And number two, oftentimes, if you really look at those things, when those parents are doing that, it's because they're trying to have that kid live out something that they didn't get to do as a kid themselves. And so you're pushing this child to do, and I'm a product of that. I fell for that my whole life. And when I got to law school, because everybody else told me that, and when I was the first to graduate from undergrad after my grandmother, and I was the first to move on, when I went to law school, I pushed because everybody wanted me to do that. And after I finished that second year, I remember I said, I hate this. And I walked out in the middle of the final exam, and the professor said, "Are you done?" And the light bulb went off in my head, and I said, "Yes, I'm done." And he didn't know what I meant by that, but I did. But that's because everybody wanted me to live out their fantasies for what their life should have been and what it looked like, because they didn't do whatever it took, or they didn't have access to those things to be able to fulfill that.
So, what's his name? The rapper, oh God, Young Jeezy and Jenny. So they're raising their baby gender fluid.
Okay.
They're choosing to do that. Hi, Kay. So yeah, they're raising. they're choosing to raise their baby gender fluid. So a lot of let's point out some of the identifiers that are out there that some of our viewers may not know. So we all know that we have lesbian, we have gay, we have trans, we have bisexual. So let's just toss out some so that again, some of our viewers don't know a lot of this stuff. So we have
across the spectrum of sexuality, or just in general?
In general.
That would be DJ's department.
I know.
One breath, right?
Well, no, and I asked that question because I don't want to limit us into this box of being like, oh, well, we always looking at things through a lens of, LGBTQ plus sexuality and experience. Now that will always be my lens because that's my lived experience, and I don't apologize for that. But I mean, it could look like a slew of things. Like I said, there's gender nonconforming, there's non-binary, there are. We talked about a lot of racial labels, so we don't have to go through that. Those are things that everybody understands. We understand cultural labels, even religious sects. That's a label, right? Am I a Christian? Am I a Muslim? Am I a Jew? Do I practice Judaism? Am I Hindu? There are all of these different multifaceted components of what we believe compose us to be who we are. And all of it is associated with some type of label. So it's any descriptive thing. And that's why I started off the conversation by saying my personal identifiers are, because any adjective that you can use to say I am this thing is a label.
So good you brought up the religious aspect of it. So I growing up, it was a lot of religious labels slapped on me. So I Seventh-day Adventist, African American Methodist, Kojic, Pentecostal, Baptist, you name it, I've experienced it all. That was slapped on me, something that was forced on me because I was a kid and I really had no say so. So I had to do what grandmama them said to do. So I'm glad you brought that part up.
And let's even talk about, it through the lens of our titles. Our titles, our roles, our responsibilities. Those are labels. Because ultimately, we are all employees to some degree, unless you're self-employed, because that's really what it is. But again, we make the distinction to say, like me, I am the Ryan White Care Coordination Manager at the AIDS Foundation Chicago. Yes, I am. But again, that's the label for who I am. Ultimately, I'm an employee of the AIDS Foundation of Chicago, just like my team members, just like those individuals, etc. But again, to how I started this conversation, the whole point in doing that is so that there's some level of distinction and I could put it in the box, because this thing goes here and this thing goes here.
Robert, you was about to say something.
Yeah, so I was going to say a label that I learned today, because I'm smart. So someone said that they're part of the LGBTQ2S plus community. And so me being me says, I know what L is, I know what G is, I know B, I know T. I know what Q stands for. I still don't understand it, but I know
it. Do
you? Queer, questioning.
Oh, I wasn't saying that to be facetious. I was saying that because many people forget the questioning aspect of that, and they jump right to queer.
And I did.
So I know what the Q stands for. Thank you, system and processes. And so when there was the 2S, I said, what's that? He says indigenous people believe you can have two spirits. So you have a male and female spirit. So they don't identify as to us, they have two spirits. They have a male and female spirit in them. And so today my male spirit may be dominant and I'm a man. Tomorrow it may be my female spirit and I'm female. Or sometimes they may make commingle and I am both at once. And I was like, huh.
You just taught me something.
But that's the point of being two spirited, is that it's not one or the other. They coexist. And to your point, like, yeah, you might see a little bit more of this thing, you might see a little bit more of this thing that expresses one gender or the other, but it's really about that harmony. And again, showing the point that gender is fluid because it's not this or that.
So about the two spirits, do you guys believe that? Because that just taught me something and just made me think of my husband sent me I can't think of the name of the test, but he sent me a test last week that I took. And do you think that our masculine, feminine side balance each other, or one could be higher than the other?
I think we express them in different ways through different circumstances. I also think, though, again, back to what we said, we've been conditioned to look at things in a certain lens and say that this thing is more masculine and this thing is more feminine. But I don't know. I think it really is the context of the person, because I think about that kid that doesn't necessarily fit into either of those categories and they in the box and you want them to pick this or that, but they're not. And so, they're neither, and that's a thing too. You can be neither masculine nor feminine. But they are who they are.
So I think masculinity and femininity is something we created. And I say that to say this. If you take a child and you raise a child and he does not know masculine or feminine, he just know to be himself, that child will know what masculine or feminine is. Because masculinity, I did a whole conference on masculinity, right? And my first question when I opened the conference was, what is masculinity? And everybody had a different answer, because masculinity, if you're in the African American community, is this hardcore, deep voice mentality, right? But then you look at some people, and that's not like Christy know the show Christy Knows Best. Would you say that Christy is masculine? Most people like no, because I'm gonna be honest. When I first saw, I was like, he's gay because of his demeanor. But that's because of my perception of what masculinity looks like. So for me, masculinity and femininity, can they go hand in hand? Yes. Is one greater than the other? No, because they don't exist to me. Be you. Because depending upon your upbringing, your definition of masculinity is Prince. Prince was stilettos. Was that not masculine? Did that take away from his masculinity? Look, I was about to go to Lil Nas. I was about to go there.
But even with Prince, you still have to think about it through the lens of the 80s too, right? And again, that's to my point about shift in ideology, right? It was a time when androgyny was acceptable and it was in the forefront, and we didn't know that's what it was, but that's what that concept was. And thinking about people like Grace Jones, who also had a very androgynous, neither male nor female, but a combination of both of those looks and styles and finishes. Again, it's about the evolution of what we think it is. And that was my original lead in point, that until we know differently, we continue to perpetuate the same stereotypes and notions that people have conditioned upon us, because we don't know any other way. But then something triggers or somebody says something. It's just like, when you think about the spectrum of sexuality, it took somebody to say, I'm not this, I feel more like this. And then other people say, you know what? That's right. I am more this. I'm not, this. Or even when you think about people of trans experience, they were called transsexuals for so long. And it's like, oh, you just did that because you wanted to dress up and do this. Like, no, until somebody said, no, I'm a person of a transitional sexual experience. And they're like, that's it. That is who I am.
Makes sense. So now do you guys, so what I found is, because we are adapting to the norm is what I would call it. We are creating labels or creating identifiers or putting ourselves in these boxes. So just speaking from the LGBTQ plus that spectrum of it, there's so many titles that are being created, labels, identifiers, what that are being created. And some of them confuse the hell out of me. So now we got, if same gender loving couple gets married, now they're calling each other hers bands and stubbies, and they're taking the term queen, but they're spelling it QKING. So now we're creating stuff. Now that's where the creative side is coming into play. Robert, why did you laugh when?
Because when you said stubby,
I mean,
they do. They do.
But that's what my grandmama used to call short, fat people. Look at that stubby child over there. So when people like, this is my stubby, I'm like, I just think about a short, fat child wobbling. So I'm sorry, stubby will always crack. Husband. What is a husband? It sounds like you're country. You from South Georgia, and you trying to say husband, and you say husband.
I mean, I don't. I don't take issue with that. I don't take issue with us being of a non-heterosexual experience creating things to defy us having to conform to heteronormative standards. I am all for that. Anything that will keep us from having to create our identities and our facets to be in lieu of or mimic or mirror something that is not of our experience, I am absolutely 1000% in favor of. And even if that means that we have to, in this instance, even if that means that we have to create spaces that identify who we are to contrast who we are not, I'm perfectly fine with that.
And so this is why I would disagree with you. And here's why. If you make up a new term, then I support it. But to take a heteronormative term and just make it what you want, no, that's not, to me, that's not creating your own. That's trying to change what they've already created. So like instead of saying Queen QKIG, no, make up your own term. Call yourself, this is my, when I get married, he'll be my husband, but I'm not gonna say this is my wifey, my height. No. If anything, I'm gonna make up. I hate y'all, but you know what I'm saying. If anything, I'm gonna be like, who is this? This is my royalty. This is my king. This is my ride or die. Make up something that doesn't just conform, change their words. Make up something that makes sense.
But here, my argument. My argument didn't say that specific piece. My argument was exactly what you said. I am all in favor of creating things and spaces that challenge heteronormative ideals, that do not put us in boxes to mimic heteronormative procedures or systems. I didn't say I'm with you to put a Q in front of king and call it something different. I didn't say that at all.
So here's what bothered me about that. These husbands, and because we already know, we all know where it comes from. Husband, queen, king, we know where it comes from. However, so a friend of mine, somebody that I know, got married and identifies herself as a queen. Somebody said something and was like, if you are a woman and like identifying yourself as a woman, why that title? And she got offended. So if you're going to have that title and somebody addresses you as it, or trying to help understand that, don't get offended when they are communicating with you about. That's what pisses me off.
But see, what you're talking about is a level of respect too, right? Because if I'm genuinely asking a question, that's one thing. But if you're being disrespectful and condescending, that's something else.
True.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, so for me, when it came to like the trans community, there was a lot I didn't know, and so I was, to use DJ's term, I respectfully asked one of my friends. I was like, I want to know something. Can I ask? And he was like, yeah. What do you want to know? And so by me asking questions, he had more respect because he was like, at least you're willing to get the knowledge versus assume and make up your own answers. I have concern. It confuses me. I get confused when I see an individual who dresses as a female, wears heels as a female, body is banging like a female, but then wants to be identified in the masculine pronoun.
But
It
why does that? Why
Why does
does
that
that?
bother you?
it
That's
doesn't
exactly gonna be my
say it
question.
bother me. I said it confuses me
But why?
because
Why does it
Why?
confuse
on
you?
first image you're wearing everything that a female would wear.
But
So
again,
I
that's
would
the whole.
assume that you prefer the female pronoun because you're dressed completely as a female and you are what's your body called when it's natural.
Biological.
There you go. You're biologically a female. That's not the word I think I was looking for, but I'll go with it. You're biologically a female, but you want to be called a him. It just confuses me. I'm sorry, it does, and I can't explain to you why. It just does. I know individuals who it just confuses me. It'd be different if, for me, I. It'd be different if you were a female and you had a body like a female and you dress like a male and you say, "Hey, I prefer the male pronoun." Got it? Because my image it says that. But when I see you got nice, beautiful long hair, you wear wigs, you wear curls in your wigs, the nails, and again, this is the box that I've been put in that I was told, you're a woman, normal man.
So isn't that like judging a book by its cover?
It is, but I mean, we all done did it, so
No, I don't because I ask, and you know me. I lead in. Hi, my name is DJ. My pronouns are he, him, his. May I have your name and what are your preferred pronouns? So
I
problem.
laughed because you said that on the show, and Kay and I went to work, and for the entire
Oh
day,
yeah.
we met people say, "Hi, I'm Robert. My pronouns are he, him, his," and she's like, "I'm Kay. My pronouns," and people look like, "What the hell is wrong
But
with
I mean,
y'all?"
but I do that because if I ask you, and back to my point about consent and openness, if I ask you and create an environment that is receptive, you're more willing to not be abrasive and be like, yo, it's this. And then I know what to say moving forward. So I don't offend you. And I think that's where we and the generalized that's what we get it wrong. Or when you hear them old people that say, well, you was born a girl, you can always be a girl. No, if I don't identify with feminine traits, respect the fact of my choice. But we want to do what we want to do, and we want to impose our thinking and our viewpoints on people, and then we expect them to conform to that label. But that's not who they are. And it's back to my initial point about that reclamation of autonomy and that reclamation of choice. I get to choose what that means for me. I get to choose whatever it is that I decide for me. And no, you're not, it's not your responsibility to I'm trying to say this as best I can, but it's not your responsibility to go against it, and it's not your responsibility to understand it, but it is your responsibility to respect it.
And again, I respect it. I don't
I'm not
understand,
saying that you don't. I'm saying you in a general context.
but I felt attacked and threatened.
I think a lot
I,
of people, especially if you are very, if you want to be identified as a certain pronoun, a lot of people should introduce themselves like that, especially those that don't even want to be he, him, she. They want to be they.
them.
You need to speak
hmm
up because we don't know. We
I
don't
have
know if you don't say anything.
I have a team member that I just hired. This is their second day of employment. And I did the spiel, and I was telling them the spiel about organizational practice to put your pronouns in your email. They said, I don't identify with pronouns.
Oh wow.
But they said you can call me they to be respectful, but I don't identify with pronouns.
Hmm, that just stumped me.
But it's my responsibility. Again, to my point though, it's not my place to understand it. It's not my place to question it. It's my place to respect it because that's
Yeah,
their choice.
yeah. Robert.
So every time I say something to them, I have to use their name.
So that's what I do because I like English, right? And in the English language, I was always taught we don't talk in first person and third person. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, speaking English is difficult for me because if I say Arteria, they coming over, she's gonna say who? DJ. Okay, who else? Because they is plural. Or I'll be like, I'm going.
But that's the
When,
point. That is the entire point of choosing they as a pronoun because
but for me,
it's neither masculine nor feminine. It's inclusive.
and that's for me, it's difficult to talk in third person and first person. I can't. So that's why to be respectful, I just utilize your name. That way, I don't have to worry about slipping up and saying he or she because I always say your name to be respectful. Because for me, with my love of the English language, it's hard for me to talk in third person to a singular. It just, my mind says, no, 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 no. And I say yes because we're changing, we're evolving. And my mind says, no, we're staying in the Stone Age.
Who do you
Okay?
sound like? Who do you sound like?
My daddy.
I wasn't even going down that road, but okay. I was just using that to reiterate the point that I made earlier that it's those kind of same mentalities that we're having the conversations that we're having right now.
And did I
And not
not say,
because it's a bad thing, but
I'm not going to argue with you?
it's back to your point about conditioning.
Right. And so, but because I've been taught, just like every person in America who went to school was taught, we don't talk in third person and first person. Everybody was taught that. They're still taught that down in school. If you write a dissertation and you talk in third person and first person, your professor's going to say, this is not kindergarten, dismissed quickly. And you can argue to the dean and everything. They go, sir, when you write this paper, you're going to use proper tenses. Proper tenses. So out of respect, I just use your name.
But
And I
that
will
is
over
proper tenses for somebody that identify as such.
in the English language. That is
There you go,
improper.
Professor English.
We're gonna
And that's what
move.
I'm saying. It's the English language.
We're gonna
If I go to
move.
Britain,
Goodness
so what you're saying,
gracious.
I can go to England, right?
But what you're
And I
talking
can meet the
about,
Queen of England. I'm like, so I don't identify you as a queen. You are a pimp of England because I identify you as a pimp. They're gonna have my head
that's
rolling
that
across Buckingham Palace.
that's a little
Aggressive.
I wasn't gonna say aggressive. I'm trying to think of the right word.
You're gonna say something offensive like absurd or
I wasn't
ridiculous.
gonna say absurd. I was gonna say hyperbolic. That's the word I was looking for. It's hyperbolic. But
But I'm just saying
but the
that
point
shit, we
is, you know,
let me just
that
so
it's back to my point about conditioning. That's the whole point of the conversation that we've been having. I'm not judging you. I'm not knocking you for any of that. It's just all reiterated the point about conditioning and its lasting impacts on us. And it's conditioning for things that we have created through man-made constructs. Because there is nothing that says that we picked up and it said, "Yep, this is what you do." That we
Yeah,
have not written ourselves,
we created it.
everything in our life is
even
man.
down to our religious doctrine. All of those things we have written ourselves to some degree, and that's why a lot of things are lost in that. But I'm gonna leave that alone. That's another conversation. But everything that we hold to a tier or a standard that dictates or implicits or implies how we behave, how we react, how we're supposed to react, we have governed it on ourselves. None of it was handed to us. It's not natural. We can't pick it up out the dirt or grow it or pick it or plant it and say that this is definitively this.
We created this stuff. Sure did.
You do not talk in third person and first person. I
Oh
said
my God, Professor English. Oh my God.
But I agree with you, DJ. I mean, and I think this new generation that's coming behind us, what are they now? Generation Alpha? Because we're starting
Yeah,
back
we
over.
starting over.
I think Generation Alpha is going to be that generation that is going to be different because I know when I was in high school, if someone came out as well the school I went to, if you came up like I think I'm gay, like they clapped for you. They was like, congratulations, oh my God, you found yourself. I'm so happy for you. But then I have some people who went to other schools and they couldn't come out because they were scared of being beat up or picked on. But this new generation, I just think sex is fluid with them. They don't care. Pretty soon, I mean, they're gonna be doing.
Oh, look.
Not sex, gender.
Oh, I'm sorry. When I say I mean gender, so let me correct myself. Gender is fluid with them. Like they don't see those things anymore. Just like this new generation relationships. What we was taught is 1-on-1. They're saying it's like 7-on-2, on 13 and 26.
This poly thing is coming bad.
I mean, I'm all for a poly relationship.
Authentic polyamorous.
Authentic polyamory.
Because
most people don't know the difference between a poly relationship and an open relationship. They're confusing the two. Because I had a conversation with somebody and they was confusing the two. A poly relationship is me, you, and one other, and we're committed amongst each other. It's just us three. No more. So my daughter is she's very aggressive. A poly relationship would be me, DJ, and Arteria, and that's it. No more. That's poly. But if it's me, DJ, Arteria, and Arteria can still sleep with Kaz, and DJ can sleep with whoever, and Robert can sleep with whoever, that's called an open relationship.
No.
Correct.
And we're not gonna do open. We can do poly. We can do poly.
I was about to say
poly nothing. Exactly. Poly nothing.
Hey, we had this conversation. This poly relationship benefits you. It's $1,000 allowance a week. Remember poly we had that nothing. No, but again, this new generation, they're more open-minded because I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first got into the lifestyle, you was LG.
Why do we have to say lifestyle? It's not.
Well, I mean,
it is, but it's not. It is my experience, and it is a fragment of my lived experience, just like with anybody else. And I hate that because heterosexuals don't say, yes, with my heterosexual experience and my heterosexual lifestyle. No, although everything is done through a very biased heterosexual and heteronormative lens, they don't lead in with that. But we do that all the time. And that aggravates me because while it is an important aspect, at least for me, I can't speak for everybody else, but at least for me, while it's an important aspect of who I am, it's not everything that I am.
Brother, I got a room for you.
I was about to say, who got a room that they got?
Brother, I got a room for you. I got food and everything.
I will buy the plane ticket.
DJ, I will rephrase that, man. When I came into my truths, is that better?
You can phrase it however you choose. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. That just is a pet peeve for me because I feel it just limits our experiences to one singular fraction.
Oh my God!
You for real, English teacher?
I'm gonna say
okay, so
sensitive.
When I walked into my experience, you was LGB, and that was it. Because the T really wasn't talked about. It was just LGB, right? No, take it back. It was LG. You was lesbian or gay.
But it was a different T.
Right. That's what I'm saying. When I first came out in my youth, all we knew was lesbian and gay. That was it. Right? And then as I got into my college years, I learned about the B. Nope. Late high school, I learned about the B. I didn't learn about the T until college. But now you got the LGBTQIA 2S plus. It's the alphabet community. We just need to change the name to alphabet community. Because by 2025, it's going to be 17 more letters. But the rainbow, the flag has changed so much now. And I think by the end of the day, it's just going to be a white flag. Because it's going to be all the colors put together. It's going to be white.
Because they're all going to be gender fluid. They're going to...
Yep.
Well, and people of color weren't included in any of those things. So that's another conversation for another day, though.
It is. Well, that is the topic of labels.
Well, after the commercial break, we'll be back with our final thoughts because I'm not going to talk to first person and third person. We'll be right back after this break.
No, we don't have anyone for like, you know, the scary horror, that kind of like that area of things. You know, yeah, it's like not that we don't enjoy those things, but you know, we didn't have like a resident geek for that area, so it's nice to have someone.
No, like I'm a self-proclaimed like scaredy cat, so therefore like you like just to let y'all know, like if y'all want to watch the shows, like I gotta schedule it in the daytime. Watching things at night is not the move for me.
All right, commercial break.
All right, y'all, check out Rakia on Geeking Out. So I like washing people's hair. And Julian hair, I was just like, I want to wash his hair. I don't know what it is.
Oh
like, I like washing people's hair. Like, it is so
You
relaxing.
should have seen it when it was like super duper long. Like our first season, it was so long, and then like at some point he cut it. It's so short, but he had long, luscious hair. I kind of miss it. I'm gonna go backstage now. I'm sorry.
All right, guys. So we're gonna get to our final thoughts. What are your final thoughts for this evening on the labels?
So my final, because I wasn't gonna go first, but everybody got quiet. So my final thought for label is: don't allow people to put labels on you that you're not comfortable with. Living your true identity, your true self. Label yourself. Hell. Period.
My final thought would be that be you, do you, whatever label you want, label yourself, make your own label gun. Don't let nobody else put a label on you. However, if you want me to identify you in the third person, I will do it out of respect for you and respect for your being and your respect for what you're called, what you have chosen to be. I will call you in third person. Okay? I love all God's children. I may not understand it, and it is not for me to understand, because what you are, you are. You are made wonderfully. You are made beautifully.
Sign Professor English.
So, all right, System and Processes Department. This is on Professional English.
So again, you know, I've said it many times during this conversation that labels are used as identifiers to be able to put people in boxes, to classify us, to mitigate us, and ultimately to oppress us in some way, shape, form, or fashion. For those of you out there who do not feel like you fit into a box or a category, there is nothing wrong with you. So I want to start and encourage you with that first. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. I implore and encourage you to figure out what it is that you belong to, what it is that you feel like, what do you align with, and be authentically that. No matter who agrees or who does not agree, always be authentically you. And on the flip side, there are some labels that are actually positive in connotation, and embrace those things. Embrace those things that make you feel strong, empowered, special, loved. Those are the labels that you should hold on to.
All right, y'all remember the labels from the help? You is kind,
Smart.
You is smart, you is beautiful, you is
potent.
Impotent.
All right, guys, follow us.
It's gonna be good.
I guess
yes.
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be very educational.
Join us next week, but you heard what she said. Join us next week. It's gonna be good.
And educational.
Follow us on Instagram. Oh yeah, I do know it next weekend. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. Join our Facebook group. Talk to us in the Facebook group. Tell us how you feel. Tell us is your ear, is your stick. Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us what you don't want to hear. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us how great I am. Tell us whatever you want to tell us. Tell us your labels. How about that? Tell us what you want to be identified as. What was that? What I do? You caught what I said, huh?
Oh, of course.
Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Email us at nocluetheshow@gmail.com. Virtual grandparents, we would love to hear from you guys. Email us at nocluetheshow@gmail.com. Billy, wherever you are in Twitch land, we'd like to hear from you, man. We miss you, dude. And I want to hear how your wife is doing. Have you gotten rid of her yet? Because you sound like she was beating you a couple of times. But You guys come back next week. Join us for another episode of No Clue. Well, when you think you have life figured out, you realize you have what?
No clue.
No clue. No clue. Peace.